Hey, welcome to this Monday evening webinar. I'm so excited to have you guys here with me tonight. And what we're going to do is go over the W-4 so I can show you guys how to properly adjust your W-4. The thing that with the W-4, I had a text. I'm just making sure everybody can hear me okay. The thing with the W-4 is that even the IRS says that you have to complete it every single time your personal financial situation changes, right? So whether it be you got, you had a baby, right? You got married, you got a promotion on your job, anything like that. Right? It's like anytime, or you start a business, anytime your personal financial situation changes, then you need to change it. Adjust your W-4, even if it's your property taxes increased, everything related to your personal financial situation. Anytime it changes, then you need to adjust it. Okay, so I'm going to go through how you can properly complete the W-4, because what happens is a lot of Americans actually end up leaving so much money on the table because they don't adjust it, or sometimes they'll adjust it incorrectly. I know a lot of people personally that will claim exempt. Okay, they'll claim exempt for like part of the year, and then they will adjust it the rest of the year, something like that. So you want to make sure that you adjust it properly and that you do not falsify any information, and you also want to make sure that you don't overpay taxes. That's the main part. You want to make sure that you do not overpay your taxes. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this W-4. But let me introduce myself. I just started talking. My name is Alma, right? I go by Alma the CPA. I'm a certified public accountant right here from the great state of Illinois, the wonderful, wonderful city of Chicago. I'm registered here. Even though it's a city, it's actually a nationwide exam. So all throughout the United States, everybody takes the same exact exam. Okay, but then different states may have different requirements and things like that. But rest assured, I'm registered in the state of Illinois, but at the same time, I'm a CPA everywhere, okay? So just know that, which means that I am certified to help the public when it comes to different accounting needs, okay? Wherever it may be, anything related to accounting. So I'm here to serve, right? I want to walk through the W-4. You guys can actually download the W-4 when you register for the webinar. There was a link right there. Right. If not, you can Google fillable W-4 form. If you Google fillable W-4 form, you can actually go right along with me if you can't find that email that you originally registered with, because it's right there as well. But we'll go ahead and get started. One thing I do want to point out, when you submit your W-4, you only want to turn in that bottom portion on the first page only. The rest of it you keep for yourself. That's the worksheet, so that in the event you have to adjust it again, you know what to adjust it to. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Hope everybody has their pens and pads available. Take whatever notes you need, and I'll be right here immediately after we go through the W-4. I'm right here to answer any questions, whether it's related to the W-4, or everybody knows that follows me on social media. I'm always posting about the importance of having a home-based business, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure whatever questions you have them ready. Okay, so I will see you guys soon. Okay, so let's get started with line A. For line A, you want to go ahead and enter in a number 1 for yourself. Line B, enter a number 1 if you're single and you only have one job, or if you're married and have only one job and your spouse does not work, or if your wages from your second job or your spouse's wages or the total of both are $1,500 or less. Then you want to enter in a number 1 right there. Okay, if those apply to you, then you want to go ahead and enter number 1 on line B. So for line C, if you are married, enter a number 1 for your spouse. Now this only applies if you are married and you file a joint tax return. Then you want to go ahead and enter in a number 1 right there. Okay, and that's for line C. Now for line D, enter the number of dependents that you plan on claiming on your tax return. Now, dependents are not you or your spouse, even if they don't work, okay? Or even if you don't work and you're married and filing a joint tax return. Dependents is just people that you are taking care of, mainly children in your home, but also any other relatives that may be living with you that you provide food and clothing for and shelter. So you want to enter in a number 1 for the dependents other than not including you and your spouse that you claim. So put that number on line D. So on line E, enter a number 1 if you file head of household. Now, you know if you filed head of household in the past. Okay, so if you did file head of household in the past, or you plan on filing head of household for this upcoming tax year, then go ahead and enter number 1 right there. Okay, now we are on line F. So for line F, you want to enter a number 1 if you have at least $2,000 of child or dependent care expenses for which you plan to claim. So this is basically child care. This is child care. So if you pay for even if your child goes to half-day preschool and the rest is half-day child care, then you want to include that as well. So any child care that you pay, if it's more than or at least $2,000, then you enter in a number 1 on line F. Now for G, this is for the child tax credit. Okay, so if your income is less than $70,000 or $100,000 if you're married, then go ahead and enter in a 2 for each eligible child, then deduct 1 if you have 2 to 4 eligible children. So for example, if you have 2 children, then the number would be 4, but then you want to go ahead and deduct 1 because you have 2 children. Okay, and then deduct 2 if you have 5 or more eligible children. So if you have 5 or more eligible children, then you still include 2 per child, and then you deduct 2 because you have 5 or more children. Okay, now if your income is between $70,000 and $84,000, then you just want to enter in a 1 for each eligible child. And if you're married and your income is your joint income is between $100,000 and $119,000, then enter in a number 1 for each eligible child. Now for H, you just simply want to add lines A through G. So I'll give everybody a second to add those lines. Add up lines A through G and put the total on H. Okay, moving right along. Turn to the back for the deductions and adjustments worksheet. So for line 1, now this is where you want to include any, if you file a Schedule A, this is where you want to include if you plan on filing a Schedule A or if you have filed a Schedule A in the past, which is for itemizing your deductions. So for line number 1, you want to enter in the total estimate of your itemized deductions, right? So what you want to do, if you filed a Schedule A last year, then you can go ahead and pull that out, and you want to put the number from line 29 on your Schedule A right here for line number 1. If you did not file a Schedule A last year, if you did not itemize your deductions last year, and you aren't sure what you are going to, you can use the estimate based on your mortgage interest and charitable contributions of the year. Now for line number 2, enter in $12,700 if you're married and filing a joint return, or also enter $12,700 if you are a qualifying widow or a widower. Enter in $9,350 if you are filing head of household. And lastly, and not least, definitely not least, you enter if you are single or if you're married filing separately, you want to enter in $6,350 on line number 2. For line 3, we simply want to subtract line 2 from line 1. Now, if you get a negative number, you want to put 0. We do not want a negative number on that line. So if you get a negative number or less, or 0 or less, if you get 0 or less, then put 0. For number 4, this is specifically if you have a home-based business. You want to enter in an estimate of your adjustments for the year to income. Any adjustments that you have for income. So only if you have a home-based business do you want to fill this in right here, because we can take our deductions throughout the year instead of waiting till the end of the year for a refund. So you want to put either $4,050 or $20,000. So let me explain the difference. If you are new to having a home-based business and you aren't really sure what you get to write off or how much you're going to write off, then you want to put $4,050. If you've had a home-based business in the past, or if you just know, even if you're new to the business and you know that you are going to really work your business to try to generate an income, then you want to put $20,000 on line number 4. Now simply let's add lines 3. For number 5, we want to add lines 3 and 4 and put that total on line 5. For line 6, you want to enter in an estimate of any non-wage income that you have. So basically this is dividends or interest. If you have any dividends or interest or any other non-wage income, then you want to go ahead and put that for line number 6. For line number 7, simply subtract 6 from 5. Line 6 from line 5. Again, we do not want a negative number right here. So if you get 0 or less, then just enter in the number 0. Moving right along, line 8, you simply, let's divide the amount that's on line 7 by $4,050 and do not include a fraction. Now for line number 9, enter in the number that we had on the front that was line H. So go to line H on page number 1 and bring your total to the back side of the page and put that number on line number 9. And now you want to add lines 8 and 9 for number 10. For number 10, add the totals that's on line 8 and line number 9. Add up those totals. Okay, now this is the end of the bag. We do not want to fill out the 2 earners portion of the W-4. So this is it. So for the back side, so now the number that you have for number 10, let's go back to the front. Go back to page 1, and you want to put the amount that you have on line 10 on line number 5, which reads total number of allowances you are claiming. In parentheses from line H above, or the applicable worksheet on page 2. So we want to put the number, the total number of allowances that we are claiming, write that number on number 5. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. You can fill in the rest of the information that's on the bottom portion of the first page of the W-4. Your first name, last name, all of that personal information. You complete that and turn it into your job tomorrow. Okay, at this time, we'll take any questions. Hey, so if there are any questions, you guys can put them in the chat room. I won't be able to hear you, but I can see the questions that you guys type in. You also can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm Alma Nancy on Facebook, and on Instagram, I'm Alma the CPA. So, and the Nancy is Nantwi. Okay, that's my last name. One thing, a couple things that I do want to point out. First thing, when you do complete your adjustment, line number 4 on the back of the W-4, if, for example, your income is $40,000, you don't want to say that you'll have half of your income in tax deductions, okay? Because then that won't be reasonable to the IRS, because then they're like, well, where are you getting this money from, you know, for these deductions? Now, granted, a lot of your tax deductions will come from things like your home office space. It'll come from things like your mileage, okay, things that you don't actually have to pay out or that you would be paying out anyway. But it's not reasonable that if you are making $40,000, you have $20,000 in tax deductions. So you want to be mindful of that, and kind of just make it be reasonable, right? And feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. Sometimes people will end up like, oh my God, I have 25 allowances, you know, and it's like, okay, that's not right, but let's see. Now, you may have done every single thing correct, but when you go to submit it to your job, it looks crazy if you're making, you know, if your total income for the year is $40,000 and then you're claiming half of that in tax deductions. Okay, that looks crazy. So just be mindful of that. And if you need any help, you know, definitely reach out to me. You can mention it here, or if you don't feel comfortable, then definitely feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. The other thing that I do want to point out is head of household. If you're married and you guys live together, then you should be filing married filing joint. Okay, you don't want to do head of household in that case. Head of household, you have to be single. You have to be single, and you have to provide more than 50% of the upkeep of the home of the qualifying dependent. So basically, you have to be single as in not married. Okay, so let's say, for example, you and your boyfriend live together and your child lives there, right? So, or your boyfriend moves in with you and your child. So you will be head of household. He, however, is single, okay? Because he's not providing more than 50% of the support that's, you know, maybe he moved in with you. And that's not his child, right? He's not claiming that child on his taxes. Okay. Or let's say he is claiming the child on his taxes. In that case, because you guys do live together. So let's say he is, and he does, provide more than 50% of the upkeep of the household, as well as 50% of the upkeep of the child. In that case, then he will be head of household and you will file single. Okay, so those are the only things that I wanted to point out. So we'll go ahead and get out of here. I hope everybody has an amazing, amazing week. Okay, and I will talk to you guys soon. Definitely feel free to reach out to me on social media platforms, on Facebook, I'm a Nantwi, Nantwi, and on Instagram, I'm Alma the CPA. Okay, so I'll talk to you soon. Your favorite CPA's favorite CPA. Have a good evening.